on a stand and it keeps my hands free. Yeah, thank you. I write lots of different types of zines, but my zines tend to be fan zines. They tend to be about things that I'm really obsessed with. And so looking around the room today, I assessed that everybody here would be a really hardcore Bruce Springsteen fan, yeah? So I think this is going to go down really well. About 4 years ago, I started writing a series of zines called Me and Bruce, and it's all about my obsession with Bruce Springsteen. But the zines aren't really about Bruce, they're about me and my family and like the reasons why I become obsessed with pop culture, or trying to figure out why I'm obsessed with pop culture. And I'm going to be reading for this issue, which is called Me and Bruce and My Dad. Subtitle, Why a Northern Queer Working Class Feminist Fell in Love with Bruce Springsteen, because I really don't know. So yeah, I'm going to skip about because I don't think you need to hear all the really obscure facts about Bruce Springsteen, but if you want to, have a bit of a chat afterwards. And so being a fan is really a dirty word. Being a fan in DIY punk culture means that you're a passive consumer, and it feels even more of a dirty word within this queer feminist scene that we're a part of, because we're all supposed to be creating our own cultures, and we're not supposed to be celebrating white, straight, middle-aged, heterosexual, millionaire rock stars. But I do. I'm a hardcore Bruce Springsteen fan, and the kind of thing that makes me hardcore is that I've got a tattoo of his name on my arm. When he goes on tour, I get myself into an enormous amount of debt, spending money that I absolutely don't have, to go see Bruce Springsteen about 5 or 6 times each time, just so I can see him multiple times. And I always justify it with the same reasons. That one, the man has 18 studio albums and a fuck ton of unreleased material, so I want to hear as much of it as I can. 2, he could die soon. He was like 66 now. And then I'd never see him again. And 3, tonight could be the night that he finally pulls me up on stage to be Courtney Cox. True facts, he wants to touch my hand while singing Spirit in the Night, because that's about as close as I've got so far. But really, I'm just a ridiculous obsessive, and there is something so fundamentally fucked up about getting into so much debt, which I'm completely incapable of paying back, just so I can go see a millionaire sing songs about poor people. I do a lot of ridiculous things for this man, and this obsession has got a little bit out of control. But really, there's a very simple reason why I've come to make Bruce Springsteen such a big icon, and that's because of my dad. I grew up working class in a small town in West Yorkshire, and my dad was a single parent, and he worked in a local textile factory, and he still works there now. This was written 4 years ago. He got made redundant last year, so damn the man. We didn't go on holidays, we didn't have a car, we didn't have a nice house. All my clothes were hand-me-downs from my older cousins that didn't really fit me. Saturday night for tea, we had egg, chips and beans, always with a big pile of bread, still do. All of our furniture in our house was borrowed or lent to us, and for a very good long while, for about 2 years, we had deck chairs instead of a sofa, because it's all we could really afford when my mum took all our belongings in the middle of the night. I didn't really know that there were other people out there that had more money than we did. My dad was really good at shielding me from that. And most of my friends at school were poor, living on estates and in council houses like I was. I didn't properly know about middle class people or posh people until I went to university, and I suddenly found out that I didn't fit in. And that's when class starts to become a really big issue with me. And that's roughly around the same time that I started listening to Bruce Springsteen. It's so easy to dismiss Bruce Springsteen songs about working class characters as being trite or romanticised versions of being working class heroes, but class was on my mind in such a big way, and I had a lot of feelings about it. And those songs didn't feel so trite to me. I recognised people from my life, my own family members and myself in those perfect pop songs. I recognised feelings of frustration and feeling trapped in small town mentalities and claustrophobia and daydreaming of better situations, and suddenly I started paying attention to Bruce. Bruce was singing to me. Bruce was singing to a fat, queer, feminist, working class northern teenage girl and nobody else. So I'm going to tell you about my favourite Bruce Springsteen song. Don't worry, doesn't go on very long. My favourite Bruce Springsteen song of all time is Racing in the Street, and I'm going to tell you why. To put it simply, most Bruce Springsteen songs that you're probably aware of, like Born to Run or Thunder Road, are absolutely massive pop songs about adventure and escape. They're fun, they're massive epic anthems about running away, leaving town and saying fuck you to everything, going off and having yourself an awesome adventure somewhere else. Lots of Bruce Springsteen songs are like this. They're hopeful and optimistic, and fun songs to daydream to, because Bruce understands that some people just really need to daydream. Racing in the Street, which is my favourite song, is not like this. Instead of singing about escape and adventure and starting over, Racing in the Street asks about what about the people that can't do that. Racing in the Street is about the people that don't have the option to run away, People who are stuck in small towns, crappy jobs, and have families, debts, and other obligations which keep them tied to a specific place and a specific life. Daydreaming is fun, but escape and adventure isn't a reality. And I've just totally appropriated the meaning of that song. If you listen to that song, it's literally about a man who goes home at the end of every day, races a car in the street, and then comes home. But it's because he always comes home at the end of every night from racing his car in the street. That's the bit that really rings true to me. Because in songs like Born to Run, the two main characters in that song, they get in a car and they ride off into the distance, ready for a brand new adventure, and they don't ever come back because maybe they were born to run. Racing in the street, however, is all about how you might work a shitty job and feel trapped by a lifestyle that you never dreamed for yourself. But as long as you have this one thing in your life that you care about, like racing cars, as long as you have that one thing that keeps you going, then you can justify it all and make it count, even if you do have to drive back home at the end of every day. And that song is about my dad. My dad hates his job. It's been physically breaking him piece by now. It's intensive, it wrecks his health on a daily basis, and he works long hours. He has overtime taken away from him, his hours can be cut at a day's notice, and 4 years ago he got made redundant after 32 years. But that's not my dad's real life. My dad's real life is not Monday to Fridays 9 to 5, just like our real lives are not Monday to Friday 9 to 5. His real life is at the weekend when he goes out, sees his friends, and most importantly when he goes to gigs. My dad goes to more punk shows than I do. He listens to like really obscure hardcore punk bands and thinks I'm ridiculous for liking My Chemical Romance. But he does this all the time. He goes out every single night, he goes out every single weekend to see really obscure hardcore punk bands, and he loves it, and that is what keeps him going. My dad doesn't race cars like the character in Racing in the Street, but he does go to punk shows. And then the next day he gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, he goes to work, and he does the whole thing again, just like the character in that song. Like a lot of working class people, my dad didn't have a realistic option of running away to escape and have some big adventure. But the thing is, I did escape. If my dad is racing in the street, then I'm probably born to run. I'm lucky and a lot more privileged than my dad was. I have working class roots for sure, and I still identify as part of the working class because I am still poor and I still struggle and I'm still living by these ideologies. But I recognise now that I have it a lot easier because of my dad. I knew I had to leave my small northern town, not because of my dad or because I was angry or because I wanted to rebel, but because I was queer and I felt invisible and I wanted to be with other queers and weirdos and misfits and to live in a world full of those people. So I got out. And that line in Thunder Road, that really famous Bruce Springsteen song, is a town full of losers and we're pulling out of here to win. That was completely my mentality as a teenager. I see myself as lucky enough and privileged enough to have had the choice to escape, but now I feel guilty. I feel guilty that I was allowed the choice to escape, and the only reason I was afforded that privilege in the very first place is because of my dad's hard work and sacrifice. When I did leave, I couldn't afford to, and I struggled in a big city, surrounded by people who had the luxury of not working if they wanted to. I felt bitter and angry and became class conscious for probably the first time in my life. But the main thing is, I escaped, and I got to live out an adventure, even if that adventure means that I live on a diet of noodles sometimes, and I can't afford a bus pass or bills, and I'll never ever be able to pay my debts ever. Thanks, Bruce Springsteen. And I think I partly listen to Bruce sometimes to make myself feel a little bit guilty on purpose, to remind myself that I'm lucky, and that these people in his songs aren't just characters and two-dimensional, but they're very real people in my life. And sometimes I just listen to Bruce because I think he's amazing and he's just a gigantic hero, and you should all do too. Darkness, the Edge of Town, best album ever. I'll always feel out of place amongst middle class peers. My dad is amazing and Bruce is the boss. The end.